Have you ever wanted to get back at someone who was mean to you? Most people want to get even with people who hurt them. And so did the Aucas. Kids, what did we learn again last week? We talked about the Aucas, right? We also talked about that little girl who is an Auca. What is her name again? Can you use the chat box, kids? Can you remind me of the name of that little girl? Good job, children! Her name is Dayuma. For hundreds of years, the Aucas had attacked everyone who came into their land. They also attacked and killed each other. Dayuma grew up afraid someone might hurt or attack her. She decided if anyone ever tried to kill her, she would run away and never come back. When she was a teenager, someone attacked her family and tried to kill them all. Dayuma ran as fast as she could in the jungle. Kids, can we act like we're running with Dayuma? Can we do that? That's what Dayuma did. Probably she was so scared because someone is attacking her. Finally, she came into a little village full of outsiders, people who weren't Aucas. At first, she was scared because she had been told that outsiders would hurt her. But they were nice. She couldn't understand them because they speak different language, but at least they didn't attack her. She decided to stay with the outsiders and work for them. As the years passed, she learned their language and got used to living with them. But Dayuma missed her life in the jungle. She wondered, is my mother still alive? She was too scared to go back and find out. She was afraid of her own people. Most people were afraid of Aucas, but some people want to meet them. Kids, can you guess who wants to meet the Aucas? Use the chat box again. Good job again, children! Missionaries. I'm sure missionaries want to meet the Aucas. Why? Because missionaries want to tell them about Jesus. But none of them had been able to go to the Aucas. It was very difficult and dangerous to be a missionary in the jungle, even in places far away from Aucas. Sometimes, missionaries had to walk through the jungle for several days to reach the next jungle village. Let's act like we're walking through the jungle, kids. Probably missionaries are very tired whenever they would go to a jungle. Watch out for dangerous snakes and be careful not to slip on the muddy trail. Probably they would hear that shout from time to time. Sometimes missionaries get very sick or needed to help another sick person, but there was no way to quickly get medicine or get to a doctor. One missionary tried to help some sick people in the jungle but didn't have time to run for medicine. As he tried to help, someone pointed at his foot and said, "Don't move! There's a snake!" There was a deadly snake right next to his foot, getting ready to bite. God help, the missionary prayed, and you know God helped him in that instance. But it was a close call, it was a close one, but God protected that missionary. The missionaries needed a way to quickly travel without having to go through the jungle. What if they could fly over the jungle? They needed help from missionaries who could fly planes. Kids, can you think of someone who is a missionary who loves Jesus also, but someone who knows how to fly planes? Yes, kids, his name is Nate Saint. Remember, we also talked about him and his sister last week. Nate Saint had dreamed of being a pilot, but he knew God wanted him to be a missionary. Then, Nate discovered that missionaries in the jungle needed pilots to help them. He became a jungle pilot in Ecuador, South Africa, and used a small airplane to help missionaries travel quickly and safely from one place to another. Can you make a noise like an airplane, kids? Like what we are hearing right now? Yes, that's the sound of an airplane. Nate's wife would talk with the other missionaries on the radio to see how they were doing and what they needed. Then Nate would use the plane to deliver food and medicine and other supplies. Sometimes, Nate even had to tie donkeys and goats in the airplane and take them to people who needed them. Flying in the airplane was much faster than walking through the jungle. In only one day, Nate could do jobs what used to take a month. He also invented safer ways to fly planes in the jungle. He was using the special abilities that God had given him. One time, Nate heard that some angry men were sneaking over to attack another tribe that lived in the jungle. Nate wanted to warn them. He took the door off his airplane and put a microphone with a loudspeaker in the plane. He flew over the village while another missionary shouted into the microphone, "Look out! People are coming to attack you!" Kids, let's pretend to lean out the window of the airplane and shout, "Look out!" Can you do that with me, kids? That's what the missionary is doing. And also, Nate Saint. And you know what happened, kids? It worked because the people heard the warning. Then Nate flew to stop the enemies who were preparing to attack. He flew over the village while another missionary shouted in the microphone, "We warned them! If you attack, they will be prepared to stop you! Don't attack them!" Pretend to shout again, kids! "Don't attack them! We warned them!" That's what Nate Saint is doing and also the other missionary. And you know what, kids? It worked again. God has used the things Nate was good at to save lives. Nate thanked God for giving him these special abilities so that he could help others. He asked God to also let him help the Aucas. Sometimes, Nate had to fly his airplane over the part of the jungle where the Aucas lived. Other missionaries had told him about the Aucas and how dangerous they were. If his plane ran out of fuel or crashed in the part of the jungle, the Aucas would kill him. But this didn't make him angry at the Aucas. He wrote a letter to his parents and told them about the Aucas. He said, "We hope that someday the airplane will be an important part of reaching these people with the gospel. We're watching and praying for that day." Nate loved the Aucas and wanted to help them. He decided to tell his sister. What's the name of his sister again? The name of Nate's sister? Good job, Rachel! He decided to tell Rachel about the Aucas when she came to visit him and his family. She was a missionary too. Rachel was a missionary too and had practiced learning new languages and writing them down so the Bible could be printed in these languages. There are people called Aucas deep in the jungle. No one has ever told them about Jesus. Nate told Rachel, "Why hasn't the missionary gone to them?" Rachel asked. Nate told her what he had heard about the Aucas. They try to kill anyone who goes into their part of the jungle. They even throw spears of airplanes that fly over them. When she heard about the Aucas, Rachel knew God wanted her to learn their language so she could teach them about God and copy the Bible in their language for them to read. Nate and his sister wanted to tell the Aucas about Jesus, but first, someone need to learn how to talk with them. If they tried to go to meet the Aucas to learn their language, they would be killed. They needed an Auca to come out of the jungle and teach them how to speak their language. But where would they find someone like that? Dayuma was an Auca who had come out of the jungle. Do you think she could help them? It had been about 8 years since Dayuma had run away. She worked as a servant for a rich man with huge farms in the village. She worked hard in the field all day long, planting crops, gathering firewoods, and picking bananas. Let's pretend to pick bananas, kids. Wow! Is that your favorite fruit, kids? What's your favorite fruit? Use the chat box, let me know your favorite fruit. Those are just some of Dayuma was doing when she was serving the rich man. She was glad to be saved from the attacks of Aucas, but she never forgot her life in the jungle. She never forgot the other Aucas who had attacked her family. "I hate them. I want to kill them. They hurt my family. I want to hurt them back." Probably these are just some of the thoughts Dayuma had in mind. She was saved from the attacks of Aucas, but deep inside, she still felt mad. She still felt hopeless and afraid. She had learned many things after running away, but she still did not know about God's Son, Jesus, who could set her free from sin and fear. She still had many questions about God. She needed to know the good news about Jesus. That's what all the Aucas needed. Nate's sister Rachel wanted to tell Dayuma and the other Aucas about Jesus and went to meet her. Maybe Dayuma could help the missionaries tell the Aucas about Jesus by teaching them the Auca language. But would Dayuma want to help the missionaries? Even if she did, would Nate's sister Rachel, will she be able to learn the language from her? They did not speak the same language, so they wouldn't be able to understand each other. You want to know the answers to these questions? You need to come back next week, kids.